Hey YouTube, Common Collector here, and today I am finally bringing you guys my competitive version of Burning Abyss PK Fire. So I have really been testing around with this deck a lot, sort of trying to push the budget as much as I could, but in general this really doesn't get much more expensive than the original budget version, which I posted a little bit before Christmas. Sorry, I've been very busy during the holidays and whatnot, but I want to get this deck profile out to you guys before I got around to any of my other material. So without further ado, let's just get right on into it. So we have the new 3 copies of Phantom Knights of Torn Scales. I was basically waiting for this card to come in through shipping, which is how the budget version came out. But yeah, overall, like this card is sitting at about 25 to 30 bucks at any day. But overall, I believe that 25 for this is actually a pretty decent investment because this card just really helps to get your Phantom Knights engine going. It helps to set up your graveyard, and then also he can special summon himself out of the graveyard when you need him. Then your next best card for the Phantom Knights engine is your Silent Boots, so 3 copies of that because it can special summon itself from the hand and whatnot, and then also just gets a Phantom Knight spell or trap from your deck to your hand. Then we're going on just to the 2 copies of Ancient Cloak, so I bumped this down to just 2 copies. You really only need the 2. Then we're going to go on into the 1 copy of Stained Greaves and the 1 copy of Ragged Gloves. Even though this is the full competitive version, I do believe that these 2 cards are still good enough to include them in this version. They just really help you to extend and keep your engine rolling. But anyways, then we're going to go on into the Burning Abyss stuff. So we have, of course, our 3 Graph and our 3 Seer. These are the 2 guys who are fully released off the ban list. These are cards that you really don't want to skimp on. I've seen a few people playing around with 2 copies of Seer, but overall I still just really like these cards at 3. They just really help. You always want to see them at some point in your turn. They just sort of help to get things rolling. Then we have our 3 copies of Skarm. Again, this card just helps with your hand advantage, just making sure that you actually have stuff for your upcoming plays. Then we have our 2 copies of Farfa. I believe I did this also in the budget version, cutting down to 2 Farfa and 2 copies of Alec. I just think that this is the most correct way because there are so many instances out when I have Beatrice or just something that can send to graveyard. And, you know, sometimes if you've already gotten rid of that 1 Alec, if you're only running the 1 Alec, it can be a little bit disappointing. So I think running 2 and 2 really helps you to make sure that you can either banish something or negate with the Farfa and Alec respectively. Then we go on into our 1 copy of Barbar and 1 copy of Libic. The Libic is something that I kind of consider dropping here and there, but there are just enough instances where you do have a level 3 Fiend Dark monster in your hand and you just need that extra extension. If you can get this milled off with like a Dante or something, it can be really, really helpful. So I do still like the 1 copy of him. Then we're going on into our 3 copies of Tour Guide. She just really helps to get the Burning Abyss monsters going out of the deck as well. And then we have our 3 copies of Fiendish Rhino. This is all pretty standard. Then for the last of the monsters, we have our 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. This just helps you to sort of control whatever your opponent's about to be doing. Ash Blossom right now is still pretty good, but there are just, right now, decks like Drytron and whatnot are just really, really powerful, and so in general, we could probably just use a bit of a stronger hand trap in the deck, but Infinite Impermanence just isn't that great in here, as well as like Lancia and the Dimension Shifter just doesn't really work in this deck, so unfortunately, that's just sort of how things roll, so the Ash Blossom is sort of your best bet. Then for our spells, we're just running the 1 spell, the 1 Foolish Burial, which lets you to basically get rid of any monster in your deck so you can get the Phantom Knights or your Burning Abyss engine rolling. Then for the traps, we have our 3 copies of Fogblade. Again, we have our 1 copy of Phantom Knight's Wing. I don't know why people are sleeping on this card, but I believe that Phantom Knight's Wing is an extremely underrated card. It's basically an extra Fogblade because you can only use the effect of Fogblade to banish from graveyard once per turn. So your Phantom Knight's Wing just lets you do that once again, and then also if something is about to get blown up either in battle or by card effect, you can just save it with your Phantom Knight's Wing. So I believe that it is actually good enough to stick in the deck. And for our 40th card, we have our 1 copy of the Shade Brigadine. Now we'll get on into the extra and the side. So for the extra deck, we are playing the 2 copies of Dante. I'm still just sitting this at 2 copies in the deck. You know, it is nice that if you go into 2 Dantes at any point in the duel, that when your second Dante hits the grave, you can actually send the other Dante back into the extra deck, which is why you really only need to play it at 2. Then we have our 1 copy of Beatrice, and then for the rest of the Burning Abyss engine, we have the 1 Dante Pilgrim and the 1 Cherubini. Then for the Phantom Knights, we have the 1 Phantom Knights Breaksword. You always want to be playing this because it just does work super well with the deck. It's unfortunate that you got to blow up your own monster, but or your own card. However, there are just certain cards like Fogblade and whatnot that you eventually do want to get off the board. So there are just ways. You just sort of have to figure out how to actually play the deck, and then once you actually know what you're doing with the deck, I would say like the skill level of this deck is pretty high up there, like expert to master level. But once you can figure out how to work around the Phantom Knights to get your Burning Abyss stuff on the board and whatnot, and vice versa, overall the deck does work really well. Then we have the 1 Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardiche. Then just to finish off the rest of the XZs, we have the 1 Leviar Sea Dragon, the 1 Raiders Knight, the Ark Rebellion XZ Dragon. I just took out the whatever it is, the Dark Rebellion XZ Dragon. Overall, it just didn't really make the cut for the deck. So with taking that out, I fit enough room for Divine Arsenal AA Zeus, because Zeus is just amazing. You know, you use XZ a lot in this deck, and so after you get done with your battling, you just go on into your AA Zeus, and then during your opponent's turn, you can blow up the field, and then you have a 3,000 attack beater on the board, or you can just use them as a big defense wall with the 3,000. Zodiac is really abusing this card right now, but at least we can still utilize it here in the Burning Abyss deck. Then for the rest of our Link monsters, we have the generics, the 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Borrelsword Dragon, and just to finish it off, because this is the competitive version, we have the 1 copy of Access Code Talker, because Access Code Talker is just super great. You know, he works pretty well in this deck. You don't do a whole lot of Link summoning, but he is decent for just going on into a big play. You get out your Nightmare Unicorn and Phoenix or something like that, then you can get 2 banishes, 2 pops, and he'll be a pretty big boy. But anyways, let's get on into the side deck. So for the side deck, it is not totally completed, but we are playing, of course, the 3 copies of Nibiru. You got to be playing this format. There's so much combo out there. There's quite a bit of control, but still, even some of the control decks can you know, get out a lot of summons. So overall, I think Nibiru, you got to be playing it in the extra deck, or in the side deck. Then we're playing the 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone and Harpy's Feather Duster. Eldritch is still just everywhere right now. There's a lot of variants of Eldritch with like Zodiac, Live Twin. Yeah, there's just basically anything like Paleo, Eldritch. There's just so many versions. You got to be prepared for it. Then just like the one of the best cards for the side deck for this deck is Dark Ruler No More. You could be playing Forbidden Droplet, which I do have, but I just thought that Dark Ruler No More, you know, might be a little bit better. Overall, you could sort of flip-flop because Forbidden Droplet is really great for just sending stuff, but yeah, overall, I think Dark Ruler No More is pretty decent. That way you can keep your advantage and whatnot in your hand. Then we're going to go on into our 3 copies of Book of Moon. This is basically exclusively for Vanity's Ruler, or just flipping down your opponent's XZ monsters, AA Zeus and all that stuff. And then if I did have Lightning Storm, this would probably be Lightning Storm, but Ice Dragon's Prison is still putting in a lot of good work right now. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it for today's deck profile. Let me know in the comment section what you guys thought. I thought that PK Fire is a really great deck to be messing around with right now, and I have definitely enjoyed doing it. Let me know down in the comments what you guys are thinking, and also if you guys are looking forward to any kinds of combo videos or anything, just so you guys can learn a little bit better on how to play the deck, let me know down in the comment section, and I can definitely do that for you guys. Anyways, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.